Boys and girls, welcome to another set review. This is my first review of a set from the summer 2022 wave, the Inquisitor Transport Scythe, set number 75336. I would really like to be reviewing the ATTE right now, but as that is listed as coming soon, we're stuck with this one for now. This is, of course, from the Kenobi show that just finished airing this summer. To take a look at the box art, we've got cool black greebling, and our featured character is the Grand Inquisitor minifig. We will, of course, go into the minifigs later. On the box, we have the blue stripe and a cutout of Vader and Kenobi fighting. Of course, Darth Vader has those red eyes, which is canonical to A New Hope, but unfortunately, we don't have a red-eyed Vader minifig in this wave. On the back, describes some play features. You can see that the transport scythe opens up in the cockpit, and the sides and back also open up, and we have another cool shot of the minifigures in action there. Really excited to bust this guy open. As for the box itself, looks pretty cool. We've got Tatooine in the background, and of course, thanks to Lego for this little niche here that we got in the package. I don't really care about the integrity of the boxes. I'm not going to resell it. I'm going to throw it away. So, no skin off my nose, but just if you are one of those people who really likes to keep your boxes for whatever reason, that might be something I would return, but not nearly as bad as that Slave 1 that I got a few months ago. So, without further ado, let's bust this bad boy open and see what's inside. All right, and we will get started with minifigs for this set. Of course, the star of the show is going to be the Ben Kenobi minifig from the early Kenobi episodes. We have kind of the blue tunic that he wears on Tatooine, with unfortunately no leg printing, just kind of the solid brown legs, which is a little disappointing. It kind of does cheapen the overall figure, but otherwise, really a 10 out of 10 figure. Great new hairpiece with the kind of this slicked back Jedi mullet that everyone loves. There is some minor detail on the back printing, and the cape, it's the newer, softer cape, which I enjoy quite a bit more than the kind of plasticky cape we've seen in the past. The only issue, he looks really good on the front here, but if you'll notice from the profile view, this guy really, it's very stiff and it kind of sticks out. You can definitely kind of like mold it to his body a little more, and I think over time that'll kind of flatten out, but right away it does kind of have this puffy look to it that's not great. I do quite like the new lightsaber design. There's this frosted blue that we kind of have seen lately that, I've heard some people criticize it and they want that kind of clear plastic look. I quite like this. I think it gives it a little, kind of depth to it with the opacity kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but I do quite like it. It kind of seems more akin to what we see on the shows, the films, of it just kind of having more character to the color rather than just this pure translucent color. So I do quite like that, especially on the blue color lightsaber. I do like the way the beard looks and his eyes, the kind of aging on his face. I think it matches the Ben Kenobi that we see on the show. So I think this is just a great minifig, a great addition, especially being an exclusive for this set. And unless there is a season 2 of Kenobi, that makes this a really fun minifig to have. Overall, I would say 9 out of 10 minifig. Only thing that could put it ahead would be some kind of leg printing. This solid color always just screams cheap to me. I don't much care about foot printing or any kind of. It doesn't have to be dual molded. It doesn't have to be dual molded. Just something else on the legs would have been nice to see. Next up is the Grand Inquisitor. This is our second Grand Inquisitor minifig, and holy cow, this is a tremendous upgrade from what we've seen in the past. So this is based off of the show Kenobi rather than the 2015 minifig that came with that Inquisitor TIE Fighter, which was based on the Rebels TV show, of course. So a little bit, same source material, different kind of interpretation of the Grand Inquisitor. Say what you will about his appearance in the show, but we have a really awesome Grand Inquisitor minifig. These shoulder pieces really give him some extra bulk, which is awesome. There's some great leg printing. There is back printing behind the cape, but nothing fantastic there. And, you know, again, like just a little bit of something on the legs makes such a difference to the overall appearance of the minifigure. He does not have a second face, but there is the kind of scarring, or I suppose it's just the kind of, what do you call it? Those lines that the Udapans have on their heads. Of course, what would he be without his double-bladed lightsaber that does that fun spinny trick? This is a great little mold for this. And a fun feature here is that you can take the blades off of the hilt and it clips onto their back like you see in the show. It's a nice little play feature, great kind of storage for the lightsaber. I think it's a little silly in the show. I think it's silly in the minifig, but it is accurate to the way the Inquisitors are and how they store their lightsaber hilt. So for that, I'm going to give it a pass. Overall, this is a really fantastic Grand Inquisitor figure. Now I'm going to leave him up here while we talk about Reva, because the Reva figure, you'll notice, has a much slimmer cape, which I think is really cool attention to detail. It really gives that Grand Inquisitor cape kind of pop, that it flares out really big. It's more of a Darth Vader kind of thing, and it really kind of exemplifies his rank, which I just think we've known Lego to cut corners on things like this, and this is an awesome just attention to detail. So speaking of Reva, while we have her here, this is such a great hairpiece for her. I think it just looks so awesome. This is a unique hair mold for her. And turning around to the front, she's got really nice face, that kind of anger expression. I think they just crushed it with Reva here. Some people are saying Reva. I don't know. I think it is supposed to be Reva, but I like Reva because it sounds like Revan. So anyway, unfortunately no leg printing, but really, really good face and hair piece, and it's got the same lightsaber as the other Inquisitors. I think, especially being a character that, you know, we may or may not see again in Star Wars canon in the future, and it being a new character for the show, they just did a really good job with that face. That hair piece is just killer. Great cape. Overall, this is a really good figure to come with this set. And finally, we have the fifth brother here. Same leg printing as the Grand Inquisitor. It does have a different chest and shoulder piece, and he has his funny little hat, which is a really neat little mold. I think they did a great job with him too. Nothing to really complain about. This is just kind of a bonus for me. He didn't really do anything in the show for me, and well, to be fair, none of the Inquisitors really did. They were just kind of there to set up Reva and, I don't know, have something for Obi-Wan to fight occasionally, but that's kind of a different story. Our friend here also has the little clip on the back to affix his lightsaber, and there is some nice little detail on the back. It's not a back face, it's just the back of his, I don't know, his whatever he puts on his head. This guy, this little red thing. I don't know if this is supposed to be mechanical and he's like cyborg. Let me know. Am I missing something in the comments? I don't know a whole lot about this character. I know he appeared in the Clone Wars show. I also think he was a really underutilized character in the Kenobi show, and just kind of there to be a jerk and fight with Reva. But, you know, for what it's worth, you know, I've heard rumors that They said that the Kenobi show was supposed to be a 2-hour movie, and someone spread that out to be a 6-episode show. So I feel like you can kind of tell in the show that it was supposed to be a little bit shorter, and they had to spread it out, add some characters, and add some filler episodes. So always a bummer to hear that. You know, I'm more of a fan of concise, but I digress. Let's talk about Legos, shall we? All right, moving on to the transport itself. Now, they're calling it the Inquisitor Transport Scythe, so I assume Scythe is the name of it, like calling it the scimitar, or maybe that's supposed to be the class of transport. I don't know why it's not called the Scythe Transport. We all know Lego sometimes has weird naming conventions with ships, or calling the Bad Batch shuttle the Bad Batch shuttle instead of using its actual name. And I don't think they ever call it the Scythe in the show, so I'm really confused at why they opted to use that name. They could have called it the Inquisitor Transport. They could have called it the Inquisitor Shuttle. They could have just called it maybe the Inquisitor Scythe. But we have Inquisitor Transport Scythe, which is just really mind-boggling to me. I don't know why someone decided to name it that over all of the other options. Anyway, doesn't matter, irrelevant to the build. This set is awesome. It's $99. As of recording, I found it for $10 off, so you could even get it for $90 at some places, and holy cow, do I love this thing. Looking at the build, the lines are just so sleek. It looks so good from any angle. This straight-on look looks awesome. The profile looks great. I love kind of seeing it at an angle. Thinking about just the angles and the edges on this thing, it is so sleek looking. It is so smooth. And I love the amount of tile pieces to studs. I'm not generally a fan of all tiled off, those smooth tiles, of having those smooth tiles that kind of take away from the Lego-ness of it. This is a perfect balance in my mind. If we look at just this side of the ship, you can see it's almost 50-50 with some studs showing, some flat tiles, and overall that makes for just a really cool look. It's still Lego. It still looks like a Lego build, but it's so sleek and awesome looking. It's honestly, I would say this is close to a UCS style build of it being more just so faithful to the actual show, and it's not really, sometimes when they make it look so real, you forget that it's Lego. It's a really good balance of those two things, which is something that may not be important to everybody, but it's something I really like in my builds. Starting on the back, we have not much to see here, but there is these landing struts, which are neat. So when you set it down, it just sits nicely. These fins you've seen kind of flap on their own. Unfortunately, they don't have much tension to them. So, too much pressure and they will fall down. But they do rest really nicely in this upward position. And putting them down, gravity just does the rest. And we have it in flight mode. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So overall, this black, sleek look is so awesome. It looks so good next to other sets. If you put this up against Kylo Ren's shuttle, Director Krennic's shuttle, the TIE Silencer, etc., all of those other black villain ships, this looks so good sitting next to those. It's a perfect addition to anyone's collection, of course. I just want to draw attention to the gaps here. They come to kind of a flat point, but look at the tiles and the way they kind of come in. There's barely any gaps. A little bit of Technic pieces underneath, but as I was building this, there's a little gap here, but it's very minor. And everything just comes to such a nice point. All of these side panels just converge, and they did such a good job of having them all to come together, and it's really solid. I definitely had not the easiest time putting these wingtips together because the internal parts can fall off really easily, but once it's in and solid, man, this thing Like, there's not a lot of give here, and you would think with a set like this that it would kind of be really fragile and prone to breakage, and it definitely is not. And as I was building this, I just kept thinking this is something that utilizes so many cool build techniques that just would not have been possible 10 years ago. And it really shows how far LEGO has gone, that a set that looks so good and is only $100 can look this good, be this solid, and just be a great set. You know, it's none of the pieces, except for the wings, nothing's going anywhere. Like, she's in there. So talking about play features, we've already discussed the wings, and there are spring-loaded shooters on the side. Nothing new there, really. Of course, the main play feature is going to be the interior of the set. The cockpit piece opens straight up, and I think this is really neat here. Just both sides can flip open, revealing a rather large interior. So we have 3 seats here, one for a driver with a small control panel, 2 in the back, and then, of course, a big kind of open area in behind. I really like the way they did this. If we kind of close this up a little bit, and maybe I'll just kind of partially close these. It really paints the picture of a complete interior of the ship the way it would be in real life, which is just such a huge plus for me. I think having interior space is great. You know, there's enough space for every minifig that comes with the set, which is, I would say, the bare minimum. I hate getting sets where the Bad Batch shuttle is a good example of, you know, you can only fit like 1 minifig in there, and then the rest kind of have to hang out on the speeder bikes or outside. I think bare minimum you should be able to fit the minifigs that come with the set. So you could put all 3 Inquisitors in there pretty easily. There's also some storage for your lightsabers, so when you take the Inquisitor lightsabers off and you want to put them, you know, somewhere while they're flying around, there is 6 spots for the Inquisitor's lightsabers to go, which is also a really neat kind of attention to detail. Finally, the last play feature I want to discuss is this bottom ramp here. Not quite big enough for a minifig to fit through, but you know, it does have that kind of standard Imperial shuttle look of the ramp coming down the front between those 2 kind of struts here. Again, not really a practical play feature. It does go all the way through and to the inside, but you're not going to really be able to fit anything through there. I also want to mention with the sturdiness, these guys, when they're in their closed kind of resting position, they're really solid too. So easy to stay open, easy to shut them up, and then this last piece just falls right into place too. Such a great build. Oh, this guy opens up too, so, but again, you're not really gonna, I don't think anyone's utilizing that per se. It's just kind of a nice play feature to simulate that landing situation. So overall, the Inquisitor Transport Scythe at $100, maybe on sale for $90. It is definitely a buy. Great minifig selection, incredible build. I think this thing looks great on a shelf. It's a great display piece, and I highly recommend picking it up. It's really fun to build, and it looks great on a shelf, which is, again, really important to me. I want something with displayability that, you know, it's not necessarily an iconic ship. We'll see if Kenobi ever comes back, if there's another season of that. Doesn't really play into the broader show, but regardless, it's just a great build. They saw an opportunity to build a unique ship from Star Wars media, and they knocked it out of the park. So for this one, A+, 10 out of 10. We really can't go wrong for the price. So go check it out. Go grab one. Definitely worth the $90. All right, so thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any thoughts on the Scythe Transport or any other sets from this summer wave that you're excited to see. Let me know. If you're new to the channel, give this video a like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know the drill. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time, folks. Take care.